Couple months too late, I've never been on the first train, so here we are. I want to talk about the Eremite. I view it mostly as a PvE weapon, and in today's video, I'm going to deep dive into that. For the Crucible, you're going to see some gameplay leading up to it, but this particular weapon, with this frame, not a fan for the Crucible. You can make some things happen in PvE, but for the Crucible, I feel you should have some better options available to you. I know I do. It has helped that this thing is craftable, we'll talk about that. Did it do okay in the Crucible? Yeah. It sure did. For me, that high impact frame makes up the majority of the issues. Having that frame in hand with or without a damage perk, it hits so heavy. Things like this. Supers are in DR. They're softened up a little bit. You can take them out with the bolts or with a burst melee if they're in full health. That's good. It's always been good. But we have some other high impacts out there that can do this as well. Out of the gate, we have some good things. 75 recoil direction, vertical on the curve. You can add to it. 51 range, 22 stability, 26 handling, 59 aim assist, 8 airborne. It's a solar high impact frame. This weapon's more accurate when stationary, moving slowly, and aiming down sights. We have head rush, the worst origin trait in the entire game. Standing up after crouching for a couple seconds. By that I mean a little bit more than 2. You get a brief period of improved handling and reload. Cool. We have a recent change to fusion rifles. They reduce the minimum damage fusions can deal after damage fall off from 50% to 45%. Though not on this weapon, Kickstart, they reduce the damage bonus from 20% to 15%. I'm going to be talking about it in later videos, but Kickstart's still a great perk on fusions because that damage fall off. Like, we'll take this example right here. These do 66 per bolt. I'll go over the full roll in a second. Golden Tricorn is 15% more damage. That goes to 76 per bolt. And in this clip, I also have a Radiant, so 83.5. That's a heavy shot. It's going to show up as 84s. But right here, really reasonable distance. This is Radiant and Golden Tricorn together, 41 per bolt. And we're seeing that 50 to 45% pass its fall off right there. So, need to land them all. And this is actually a deep fusion shot in the current sandbox. We're way past the air until days. Let's talk about the perks. And the third column, Pulse Monitor, Compulsive Reloader, Offhand Strike, Slick Draw, Envious Assassin, Lead from Gold, Heal Clip. Final column is Cornered, High Ground, Pugilist, Controlled Burst, Elemental Capacitor, Golden Tricorn, Reservoir Burst. Here is my role. I tried various different versions, and I'll give you my reasoning why I went this way. It's Full Bore, Projection Fuse, Slick Draw, Golden Tricorn, Range Masterwork. So 86 range, get a kill, Golden Tricorn's 15% more damage, and Slick Draw is passively giving 100 handling. Now, they did buff this perk not too long ago, and on a fusion rifle, it was actually really, really good. The extreme downside of that 26 handling, you're maxing it. So you're stow and ready, instant. Your aim down sights, instant. And it just handles a lot differently than pretty much any high impact that you've ever used. The downside of that, you're losing some aim assist. Significantly decreases target acquisition. So I think it's fine. You've been seeing the clips. Yeah, you have to be a little bit more centered, track a little bit better, but the rest of the roll is making up for that. That's why I went with full bore range masterwork. Usually you'd want like extended barrel or maybe a small bore, but the 12 stability, doesn't matter if you're controlling the burst. You can send that thing on a rope, just a little down tension. And adding in that 86 range, what that's doing, we go all the way back to the Cone Saga. It's helping accuracy. It's helping that acquisition, that aim assist at a further distance. So I have it set up that no matter whatever distance it is, even with that nerf to the fall off, I'm going to be getting the most out of it. Like a big pro, this frame, if they're within range, it will down them. The shots are so heavy. Especially with Golden Tricorn. You've seen in the gameplay, I'll get a kill, then the next target's going to be a 3-bolt. Sure, you could go for Golden Tricorn ×2. I don't really think that that's necessary. But the downside is that since the range has been nerfed, this thing has a long charge time. The charge time gets you into trouble. So to me, it's like, if they're in range, they're going to go down, but I got to be careful. And making this thing snappy with Slick Draw brings a lot of life into it. And in the third column, we have something like Offhand Strike. Sure, you could try that. It gives stability. It gives accuracy help, accuracy cone growth. It goes past fall off. So yeah, you can get a little bit deeper shots. You're a lot more mobile because you're not aiming down sights. But I personally don't like that on a high impact frame. I don't. I like the snappiness of Slick Draw, and it does great. But other than that, maybe Heal Clip with a Benevolence proc on Solar. That's pretty much it. In that final column, stay away from Cornered. No need for High Ground. Pugilist, maybe. It is a special weapon, so you get 20% back for that melee. Control Burst, no. Elemental Capacitor, possibly. But there's a ton of others that can do it. Reservoir Burst, no. So that's why I would go with Golden Tricorn. It just kind of completes the rest of the roll with the perks available to us. But in the end, I got this gameplay, and then I made my PvE roll. Conclusion for the Crucible, does it work? Yes. Does it do fine? Yes. I have way better fusions in my vault, and I'm pretty sure you do as well. That goes for all the different frames. It's more than usable. As you saw, it does fine. But what I've noticed is speed is a little bit more important than range when it comes to fusions now. And again, I think next video I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to do a live gameplay. Now for PvE, the whole thing switches. When you look at that third column, Pulse Monitor is actually really goated. It's great. It's a great perk. We have some synergy with Compulsive Reloader. Envious Assassin's a monster perk. Get kills with other weapons. It overflows the mag. Lead from Gold is great in PvE. Heal Clip is great in PvE. And in that fourth column, we're mostly going to be zeroed in on Controlled Burst. Landing every shot in a burst grants this weapon increased damage and reduced charge time for a short duration. So get a kill, or just hitting every shot in the burst, every bolt, 20% increased damage and a 10% decreased charge time for 2 seconds. Charge time goes to 870 as that's going, and you're getting 20% more damage, so in a lot of cases, that's better than a Vorpal or a lot of other damage perks because you just wail on them. So what I did for my PvE roll, Arrowhead Break, Enhanced Battery, Envious Assassin, Controlled Burst, and in this screen I've arranged Masterwork. It is now a Reload Masterwork. But the idea, it is so easy because it's a special weapon. You have Osteostrega, just absolutely demolish a group of enemies. Load in Envious Assassin rounds, and then you have Controlled Burst. But since this is a solar weapon, we can do some really interesting things. A lot of solar warlocks, a lot of solar hunters. Got the big boom solar titans now. It's good. We're in a good spot. But Controlled Burst with Radiant, that's a great buff in PvE. Radiant and Controlled Burst together is 50% more damage than base. So this by itself, just think it's Golden Tricorn times 2, essentially. But maybe you have a Tractor Cannon on you, so you can debuff them. That combination now, 95% more. So basically, it's double damage, right? You're doing double damage at that point with Radiant, Controlled Burst, with them debuff with Tractor Cannon. So that's great. Not to mention, if you go triple Solar Surge, you're at 137.9%. And if you're going triple Solar Surge, maybe at that point you take off Tractor Cannon and put on a solar weapon. But let's move on. You can do Radiant, Controlled Burst, Tractor Cannon debuff, triple Solar Surge, and then let's say Foe Tracer, now 143.7%. Or maybe on Titan, you could do Path of Burning Steps, 143.7. So there's a lot of stacking that can go on because this is solar. Make sure you have on your special finders. Add clear with your main weapon. In a lot of gameplay, it's going to be Osteo, because Osteo is just incredible. But you're just feeding Envious Assassin, never really having to reload that. And you can do something like Enhanced Battery and get up to like 15 whatever rounds. And those things are doing over double damage because you have it set up with Controlled Burst and all your buffs and debuffs. It's a really good PvE weapon. And looking back, I think right when Crota came out, there were players using it day one and having success with it. So yeah, it's no joke in PvE, and at the end of the season, if you're playing, you should have the red borders, and it's going to be worthy of a craft. And on the other side, we do have Reservoir Burst. Now this is more of an ad clear, completely going away from Controlled Burst, and Controlled Burst is an awesome perk. 25% increased damage. People forget about that because the big draw to it is we have that chain reaction, that little explosion. That's great for ads, but it also does 25% more. And on a solar sub, we're talking fire sprites and a whole bunch of things going on to add to that kit. It's not a bad weapon. Pretty solid. I'm having a lot of fun with Envious Assassin Controlled Burst, finding different ways to get that going. Just the Surefire Tractor Cannon plus Radiant does really, really good. Throwing in 10 straight Controlled Burst shots on a target. Of course, with triple Solar Surge. For the PvE craft, what I think just makes this thing go is a high mag with Envious Assassin. And then you can play with Controlled Burst or Reservoir Burst. So I would go Arrowhead Break, Enhanced Battery, Envious Assassin with Controlled or Reservoir. As far as your masterwork, reload, handling, whatever you like right there. I would actually go handling because you're bypassing a lot of those reloads with Envious. Arrowhead's making the recoil direction 100, also increasing your handling, and with the handling masterwork, you get that stat up even more. So your aim down sight, stow, and ready is a lot better in PvE. And that's what this weapon is, a PvE weapon. You can have some fun in the Crucible, but I would choose so many over it. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the Eremite. I think it's a really good PvE fusion, one of the better ones actually, and it's craftable. So again, at the end of the season, get red borders, craft it up, it puts in some work. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about the Eremite down below. What are your thoughts on it? Have you been using it? Let's talk about it. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.